Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Late this afternoon, I was informed that State Supreme Court Justice Emilio Koliakovo had released his decision with regard to our court case between the City of Buffalo, here in the City of Buffalo, between myself, the Common Council, and Buffalo City Comptroller Barbara Miller-Williams, and that decision was in favor of our petition in its entirety, therefore compelling the Comptroller to borrow on behalf of the City of Buffalo and issue bonds with regard to the capital budget that was passed by the Buffalo Common Council last fall. I want to thank Judge Koliakovo for the thoroughness within his decision, but also the expediency with which he released the decision this week. This is a process that has played out far too long. A capital budget process that took place last fall included city departments, cultural institutions, residents in the City of Buffalo. It was a thorough process that the council approved. Now has drawn out for several months, and it has cost taxpayers dollars. And it's not a route that I wanted to go. It's very unfortunate that we had to go that route, but I felt it was important to make sure that, although I believe the language within the City of Buffalo Charter is very clear, I felt it was necessary to set the precedent of where each department, each elected official's authority lies when it comes to the charter and the City of Buffalo. All along, I felt very confident that we would prevail in this court battle. Again, want to thank Judge Koliakovo for that. Like I said, this was a long process, and it was an historic process. It was an historic capital budget that the council passed last year that we provided them, $110 million, $28 million in capital budget projects, $55 million in projects for the Buffalo Public Schools, and an additional $26 million in bond anticipation notes on behalf of the City of Buffalo that would unlock $204 million worth of federal infrastructure projects, which at the end of the day turns into more than $1 billion worth of direct and indirect economic impact here in the City of Buffalo. I think it's important to note that if you look at the judge's decision, he makes it very clear that when the council adopted the capital budget last fall, they authorized and directed the Comptroller to issue bonds on behalf of the City of Buffalo. I think that is a very clear and very important part of that decision. And like I said, of the process all along, we felt very confident based on the language within the City of Buffalo Charter that the Comptroller's role in this process was advisory, it was ministerial, and that if you look at the city charter, that the mayor proposes the capital budget and the Buffalo Common Council authorizes it. So again, very grateful to Justice Koliakovo that ruled in favor of our petition in its entirety, and that the Comptroller will be now compelled to borrow on behalf of the City of Buffalo. Again, I want to be very clear, this is not something we wanted to do, it's not a path we wanted to go down, but the delays in projects, the money that it will cost in addition to what it would have originally cost, I felt the need to go the legal route. Again, want to thank everyone involved, and with that can open it up to any questions.
The judge said the Comptroller had a dereliction of duty in this matter. Do you believe she should remain in office after this decision?
Yeah, I don't think it's a reason for the Comptroller to leave office. This is a difference of opinion. I believe the Comptroller thought she was doing what she was responsible to do. I just don't believe that it was following the letter of the charter. You know, that's just a difference of opinions. I don't think it's any reason for someone to be removed from office or anything like that. At the end of the day, it was a difference of opinion between some elected officials, and unfortunately we could not come to resolution by discussing this, and ultimately had to go to the route of the courts. But I don't think it's any reason for anyone to call into question the Comptroller whether she should remain in office.
How much is this legal matter going to cost city taxpayers?
I don't have the exact numbers with relation to outside counsel, but we can get that for you. But at the end of the day, I think the bigger financial impact is the delays in these projects. You're going to see how much more they cost now that we've basically lost an entire construction season. We are now into the 2026 capital budget process and haven't begun the 2025 capital budget and implementing the plan. So the increase in those projects, that's going to be ultimately the large impact on taxpayers. And again, very unfortunate that the delays occurred. But I'm just glad that the court case is behind us and we can now start implementing the plan. You know, these are important projects. These are infrastructure projects that'll repair roadways, buildings here in the city of Buffalo. They'll benefit our cultural institutions and other partners. So again, it's important that we get these, the bonds issued and start these projects as soon as possible.
Has this damaged your relationship with the comptroller, and how will you move forward?
Now, listen, you know, this is different than any other level of government where elected officials have different opinions on things, and it's very unfortunate we had to ultimately end up in court over it. But like I said earlier, I think the comptroller was doing what she thought was right. I just, at the end of the day, don't believe that it adhered to the Buffalo City Charter. In particular, the fact that if you look at this scenario where there's the mayor and/or council provide or approve a capital budget in excess of the recommended cap, how that process plays out, I think that's very clear in the charter. But again, it's just a difference of opinions, and I don't have any ill feelings towards the comptroller at the end of the day. It's just a matter of difference of opinions.
You have mentioned that the construction season is now over for 2025, so do you need all this money still?
Well, that doesn't mean these projects go away. The needs go away. You know, there's the roads that still need to be repaired. There's $204 million worth of federal funding that we're in jeopardy of losing if we didn't start to front this money. And these are major projects. Main Street, Jefferson Avenue, Bailey Avenue, major infrastructure projects, building projects, support for our cultural institutions and their facilities as well. So just because we've lost this construction season does not mean that these projects have disappeared. Actually, probably makes the case more dire. And the fact that we need the money quickly and have to start these projects as soon as possible.
That's going to be the next question. Are these projects that are able to be started this year?
Yeah, you know, but I would say by the time the bonds are issued and everything's wrapped up on that end, you're probably too late in the season for road work, things like that. What we've been trying to do is lock a lot of the projects in and the price associated with a lot of them. I'm not able to do that with all of them, but we'll certainly continue to move as quickly as possible to make sure that there's no additional impact on the taxpayer.
Have you spoken to the comptroller since the ruling?
I have not, no. I just found this out within the last hour or so here in the office, and I had a quick conversation with the team here, and again, just very grateful to Justice Koliakovo that he adhered to the city charter.
When does this money get released?
That's,
or can we find it out?
yeah, so now we've got to move forward. We have things we have to provide back to the courts, I believe, based on a very quick conversation I had with our outside counsel, and we'll go from there. But exact timeline I don't have.
The judge's ruling clears it up, but since the Charter Review Commission is in session, should they look at this and maybe clear up any ambiguity in the city charter in terms of rules of governance here?
I would think they could take that into consideration. You know, I personally think it's already very clear, and that's what I've stated all along. That's why I felt so confident that we'd be successful in the court battle. But if they want to use this precedent as reference for anything they want to put in the city charter, I think that's a great idea.
What assurances can you give to residents?
I'm sorry,
What assurances can you give to residents and taxpayers that these funds are used, efficiently and also transparently?
Yeah, so the capital budget process is a very transparent one. You know, this is done out in the open, with the CPC, open meetings, and we discuss this, then capital budget process, filed with the council can approve, amend it. This is all done very transparently, and the big thing now is we just want to get it done as quickly as possible. There's projects that need the work, and so these delays have hurt that. They've hurt the bottom line financially when it comes to these projects, but now the big thing is for me just moving forward as quickly as possible.
A few different advocate groups I've spoken to have said this whole situation has kind of shown the dysfunction inside City Hall here. How do you rebuild kind of the trust of the public that everyone's kind of working towards the same goal and not having chaos like this?
Well, I think at the end of the day, everyone involved here, the big conversation was, does it hurt the city financially? So I think everyone was on the same page. No one wanted to harm the city financially. The argument was, does it or not? And it doesn't. 82 of the $110 million is reimbursed. And we're right back at the $28 million cap that the comptroller initially wanted to implement. So we are not looking to borrow anything long-term in excess of that cap. And if the comptroller felt like it would harm the city of Buffalo financially, that it would. So I think at the end of the day, we're all kind of on the same page. We didn't want to impact the city negatively financially, but if you look at it more closely, it doesn't.
A precedent was set, but the charter wording remains the same. Do you foresee this becoming an issue next budget season, a couple of years, anything like that?
I don't think so, and that was really, at the end of the day, the reason I felt we had to go the legal route. I've stated all along, I think it's very clear how it's laid out in the charter. The comptroller obviously disagreed, but for that reason, I felt it was necessary to set the precedent through the courts that each elected official has certain rights and responsibilities and legal authority, and I think today Justice Koliakovo cleared that up.
I know corporate counsel had a confidential letter that was filed with the council regarding this issue. Is there anything with that you're able to share?
Shared with the Buffalo Common Council?
Yeah, with regarding this issue. It's my understanding the corporation counsel weighed in some sort of letter with the council on this.
I'd have to go back
Okay.
and, yeah, I'd have to try and find out what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, that's that.